starting in DFS, who's a player cracking 30 DK fantasy points this weekend, Geoff?
The saga continues. Uncle Deebo Samuel, 7,900. I mean, this one is pretty easy to me. You'll go with your first inclination on your answer, and Deebo Samuel is certainly the first player that popped up to mind here, and for good reason. I mean, he's gotten over 30 fantasy points on DraftKings 4 times already this year, but I just feel like you look at this game style. We've talked about this one. It's obviously going to be in a dome, a controlled environment. That's great, but the 49ers are underdogs here too. And the last time we saw San Francisco get behind in a game, well, I mean, it did happen last week, but also against Tennessee, 11 targets. I do feel like this is a spot where Deebo Samuel is going to break out a little bit as a wide receiver because the 49ers will need him just to catch the ball a little bit. Obviously, you've got a Dallas secondary that's talented, but they also have allowed the 7th most receiving yards to opposing wide receivers. The big plays are there against Dallas. It's just so are the turnovers. So Jimmy G throws a couple picks. That's fine. We'll just get a faster paced game. I think Deebo Samuel has all the makings of a big fantasy game. He's not a player I want to fade this week at all.
You mean the wide receiver is going to actually do wide receiver things this weekend?
And still probably run the ball. I mean, that's the beauty of Deebo Samuel.
And let's not forget he passes for touchdowns now as well. Pearce, who's a guy cracking 30 DK fantasy points this weekend?
You got to go with the obvious play, the obvious wide receiver. That's Cooper Kupp. He's the best wide receiver in football. He's got a great offensive line. He's got a great quarterback. He's got a great matchup. The Cardinals are not the defense that we mentioned earlier in the show that, the Cardinals jumped out to a 7-0 season. They've lost, 5 games in their last 8 games. This is not the same team. Their defense has struggled. When they lost Robert Alford, they began to struggle even more. Byron Murphy is supposed to be a good cornerback, but he has not played well this season. He's got a 61 PFF grade. Last time he matched up with Cooper Kupp, he allowed 6 catches on 7 targets for 70 yards. And in total in that game, Kupp caught 13 of 15 targets for 123 yards and a touchdown. I mean, we've seen him explode every single week during the regular season. Why wouldn't Cooper Kupp have another monster game in the most important game of the season? And if I'm Matt Stafford, he's the only guy I'm going to throw the ball to anyway. So just keep feeding him the ball. He's the obvious answer for 30 points.
Geoff, did we talk about the other day on the slate that we're kind of thinking like Stafford is just trying to be Mr. Nice Guy and making sure OBJ gets his looks too?
I mean, it does seem like that a little bit. I mean, obviously they've wanted to fit in Odell Beckham into the lineup quickly just because when they get in the spot, they want a secondary option. But I mean, I don't know how much they're going to be worrying about distributing the ball. They're going to be going to whoever works the most and who has worked all year has been Cooper Kupp. So I can't really disagree with this one. The only thing I'd say about the Rams is they've been running the ball a little bit more of late. And if they get up, maybe Kupp is limited to 9 or 10 targets instead of 14. So I like Deebo Samuel's pure upside a little bit more, but I mean, the volume for Kupp will be there for sure.